Hello and welcome to today's FinTech Finance Virtual Arena. And we've got a really special one here for you today because we're going to be talking about banks going green. And joining me today is Kati Ihamaki from OP Bank and Leonie Schreve from ING. Kati, if I could lead with you first, could you tell our audience a bit more about OP Bank and your role within that?
Well, OP is the largest bank in Finland. We are cooperative, so that creates lots of good things for the sustainability, especially. So starting from our mission, we are here to help the communities as well. My role is I'm responsible for the sustainability or corporate responsibility as well as brand and sponsoring. I'm pretty new with the company, a bit more than a year at the moment, and I'm still learning the finance sector. I had a long career behind me in the aviation, working lately for the sustainability there as well. So sustainability is the field that I feel most familiar about, and then I'm also been very happy and lucky to join the finance sector and working on the sustainability as well as brand. I do see that the sustainability is really important part of the brand of our bank as well. So creating or working on those two together.
Brilliant. And to all our audience, I should mention that Kati is actually joining us from a car journey, obviously not driving. So if you hear any noises, that might be what you're hearing. And also, yes, Leonie, thank you also for joining us. Can you tell us a bit more about your role at ING, please?
Yeah, no, for sure. And happy to be here today. So I'm Global Head Sustainable Finance at ING, which essentially means that I'm responsible for all the commercial activities on the sustainability field for our wholesale bank globally, with, for example, transactions like green bonds, where we support our clients with sustainability loans, whether that's green loans, sustainability linked loans, and in general, really helping clients to transition towards, how I call it often, the economy of tomorrow. I've been around 17 years at ING. I've built several teams really from scratch towards mature business lines, and sustainability is one of the core themes that really is one of the directions that I'm working on.
Amazing. And, if I could follow up with that then, Leonie, you mentioned, empowering their customers. Can you tell us how can financial institutions actually empower their customers to take action against their carbon footprint?
Well, we really work with our clients and also have the engagement on the topic of sustainability. And we've seen also in the last couple of years, and especially in the last 2 years or so, the topic is a key topic on the agenda of our clients too. But often there is also a question on how do I do that? How do I green my portfolio, my operations? How can I transition? How can I really make myself resilient in an economy that we all need to be really sustainable? So we help our clients with those discussions, and very proactively. It's also one of our core strategic areas where we set also for ING itself, if we are helping our clients to transition, we are also able to build a more resilient portfolio ourselves, and eventually future-proofing both our clients' portfolios and activities and ourselves will help us to really reach this sustainable economy.
Amazing. And Kati, speaking of portfolios, if I can get into some real use cases, is investing in, for instance, ESG funds actually the best way that a customer can take action against their carbon footprint?
Well, at least that seems to be the very popular one now. So there, 3/4 of our customers now are interested in the sustainability funds or responsible funds. So that there is lots and lots of demand for that, both for the climate ones or then the ones that take into account the kind of a larger notion of sustainability. Also, in the different type of products are being asked. I think that the customers would like to better use the information that we have about the going green or sustainability and using our expertise. And that's why we are really investing in our customer-facing people about the sustainability so that they can better deliver the message and also the clear the message toward the customer. So that I think is really important.
If I could cut you off there. So Leonie, do you think this is do you think investing in ESG funds is the best way to get people involved in reducing their carbon footprint? Do you see a big demand for that?
Well, I think it's one of the elements that is very important. And you see also that on the investor base, there is rapid growing of sustainable portfolios there. So it's definitely an area that also helps and makes it also for our corporate clients, for example, very visible that this is a topic that you need to put high on the agenda. But I think there's much more. And as I mentioned, we do also a lot of work on green bonds advisory and also on the lending side, and really helping, for example, to help an automotive company to specifically attract funding for their electrification processes. Those are things where we can make very concrete and tangible impact in helping accelerate the green activities of our clients. So I think it needs to be also at the core strategy of our clients, not only saying, okay, we are investing in ESG funds, but we're actually also transforming our entire business.
Speaking of that, transforming your entire business, Leonie, how can an institution of your size actually look to develop new green products that maybe some of your customers haven't even thought of, and make your CSR strategy significantly more robust?
Yeah, good question. I mean, we've been able so far also to launch quite a number of first-in-kind transactions in the market. And I started from scratch to build the sustainable finance activity for ING in 2013, where we were almost the first international mainstream bank to take sustainability into its core commercial strategy. So we've been able to launch the first sustainability linked loan, which essentially is a transaction where you provide a loan to a company and agree upon targets to be met in a year's time on improving their sustainability performance, and that is tied into pricing. So if you meet the targets, you get a discount. If you don't meet or deteriorate, you get a penalty on the margin. And wow, that is a very effective system. And it has been, we did the first one in 2017, and now you see that market is growing over 100% per year. So it's really a fast growing market. Recently, we've also launched the first sustainable derivative in the market, where again, similar pricing mechanism is attached to it. And we've been able to launch the largest green bond for financial institutions. So a lot of those activities that we are putting in the market, part of it is really growing our business, but part of it is also very much focused on forward looking and how can we really make change happen. So I also have two more pioneering teams, which are looking on the one hand at more equity investments for scale-ups. So investing really in the clients that will be in tomorrow's economy, and another pioneering team also looking at newer type of technologies, newer type of business models to really help to drive that forward. And by really helping the larger corporates and larger financial institutions to transform, we also at the same time invest in those smaller ones who can really make the difference.
That's absolutely incredible. And Kati, could I get your input? You said you've come from the airline industry. You're now in finance. How do you think airlines play similarly alongside finance to create new green products? They're both very over-encompassing industries. So how, from your expertise, can you see a way to develop new green products and make your CSR OP more robust?
Yeah, like discussed earlier here, and like my colleague said, I think the customer engagement is the key here. We have to really listen to our customers and see their views. Of course, we can also educate them by giving our information or sharing our information and building on the work of our peers. But then again, I think the customer engagement is the key here. Of course, we have lots of pressure also coming from the legislative side on the producing green products or creating green products, but also we have to listen to customers, we have to listen to our other stakeholders, we have to work together with other banks and with other sectors as well. That was the same for the aviation. I think, of course, we are competing on these products as well. We are competing on our sustainability reputation, but we can also build on our expertise coming from the whole sector or the other sectors. And I think we have to concentrate on kind of making the world better place for all of us together, rather than only competing and trying to overplace our competitors.
That's a really interesting perspective. It's a kind of working together to fight against this global threat effectively. So, I mean, with that in mind, we've touched on how important finance is, and obviously airlines as well, being an over-encompassing set of industries. But Leonie, do you think that the banks might have a larger social responsibility than perhaps other industries?
I think it's a joint responsibility, but I would like to echo indeed also the comments on that there needs to be further collaboration. If I look, for example, at ING, we've committed to align our entire lending book with the Paris Agreement. So 600 billion of our lending book will be aligned with the Paris Agreement across the different sectors that have most significant impact on GHG emissions. And what we did in developing that, we teamed up with an external company that has forward-looking data on what are the investment strategies towards indeed the transition towards the Paris Agreement. And we made that an open source tool to say not only just this is for ING, but we want to work with other players in the industry and also share the knowledge that we've built in building this methodology and get others on board to work with us in driving this forward. So we have now more than 30 banks on board also to help, to exactly take the same route as ING is doing by aligning the portfolios towards the Paris Agreement. So it's an effort that from a banking perspective also creates indeed this collaborative approach, but at the same time, it also helps giving our clients insight in where do they stand. Do they stand ahead of the Paris Agreement targets? Do they stand at, or do they stand behind? And that is where also the interaction comes. I mean, banks have a role to play in opening that dialogue, but eventually we're not on the steering wheel. So we need to help our clients to also make visible on how they can transition. So it's a two-way traffic where we need each other, but we can indeed, by opening up the dialogue, really help accelerate this.
Incredible. And Kati, can I ask, we're hearing a lot about customer demand and how that's kind of fueling this whole movement. But do you think that financial institutions have not had to really have such a social environmental impact so far because of the tertiary service-based nature of finance, that people maybe don't associate large institutions like OP and ING with their environmental contributions?
Yeah, that is exactly so. And I'm coming from the sector where the customer-facing emissions were probably the biggest issue for all of us. Now there's a clear change in thinking in the financial sector. But then again, I think we actually, when we talk about the scope 3 emissions, our handprint or footprint can be enormous, and that's why we have to really concentrate on this. But yes, as said previously, customers don't probably come to think of it that we can impact climate or other environmental issues or social issues as much as the kind of other sectors might. But then again, as said earlier, I think when we are working together as a sector, we can have actually huge impact. And Leonie here showed very good examples on that. And then also, I think we all are part of UNEP finance framework, where we try to find solutions and concrete actions together. And by being able to do that, we can have a very strong impact on world going forward. Then again, for us, when I mentioned earlier that we are working with other sectors as well, that is especially true for the corporate lending, for instance. We do have corporate loans where we set together with our customers, corporate customers, the sustainability targets, and their loan margins are dependent on how do they meet their targets on sustainability. But those are not only given by us, but we are really working together and trying to find the being then environmental or social impacts, the most relevant ones that the corporate would have, and how we could help them to reach those targets. That kind of actions, I think, are becoming more and more relevant in the future. But of course, yes, we also try to find products for on the personal banking side, and their investing has been the one clear success, but other types of like the personal green loans or the mortgages, green mortgages, for instance, are the ones that we are now targeting. Or then learning from your behavior, for instance, through the credit card data or card data, so that we could actually educate our customers better by showing them where they are spending their money and so on.
Interesting. And if I could move away from the kind of customer focus that we've had so far, I know, Leonie, you've mentioned a few times of how ING and Kati, you have as well with OP, how your bank has actually started to work on its own emissions. But if we move away from that customer focus, Leonie, can you tell me, are there any specific verticals that you see within the bank that can improve going forward when it comes to its environmental impact?
Yeah, and we have a strong environmental program also internally. So we've been climate neutral already for some time. And of course, there's a lot of emphasis on, we've just opened up, although it's not being used at the moment because of the whole COVID situation, a new head office. And the head office is also the highest standard when it comes to green building standards. So there's a lot of initiatives there. And also in particular in this situation, taking care of employees more on the social side also, to make sure that everyone can be healthy, can be motivated during those difficult times, and really be there for also our internal workforce to make sure that on a sustainability level, we can really still make it happen, but under and within a responsible manner, of course. And I think that is in particularly now in this situation is a very important topic as well.
Definitely. And following on from that, Kati, could I also get your input in terms of how OP Bank, rather than helping its customers go green, look within and work on your environmental impact?
Well, we do have similar programs. Our target is the climate positive handprint by 2025. So neutralizing our own emissions completely, and we are quite far there already, but also leaving positive handprint by helping our customers. So combining those two, and also like showing or being the benchmark for the other banks in the area, for instance. So that's one of our targets. But in top of the environmental targets that we have the green office, for instance, at our premises, and also in the smaller unit branches. The strong emphasis now is on the social side, like mentioned before. So also taking care of our well-being of our own employees, as well as the diversity and inclusion. That's the big theme for us this year. And then data security and ethical use of AI, for instance. Those are the themes that are both geared towards our customers, but also internally.
Absolutely amazing. It's so interesting to hear these new technologies actually being utilized for good. You always hear them in science fiction as being almost nefarious. So it's absolutely brilliant to hear contrary to that. Now I'm going to ask both of you this question, because I like to end on a positive note. We've talked about some of the stuff you're doing for your customers, how you're reducing your footprint internally. But if I start with you first, Leonie, how ING's won tons of plaudits when it comes to your environmental work, so congratulations. But how are you going to keep going when it comes to maintaining these targets?
Well, I think that we will keep on innovating. Also, if you look, for example, we have our innovation office in ING as well, where we have different labs that are working on innovation efforts. that is helping us also to fuel some of the new product innovations, but also in terms of how indeed being smart with using data, using indeed technologies like AI. And in general, I think being there for our clients, having an eye on what are the developments out there in the market, we constantly look at how can we help you as a client further. And I think by indeed offering an innovative product suite, but also having really top-notch knowledge out there, in particular also in a very fast changing market where you see that regulatory requirements are stepping up, where you see that in general accessing funding becomes green becomes much more important in accessing funding because are greening their portfolios as well. So I think we need to keep on top of that. We need to keep investing in product innovation, in on the one hand the pioneering side, newer technologies, and on the other hand really helping our larger client base to transition and accelerate on transforming the economy so that indeed we can reach tomorrow's economy.
Amazing. I love that phrase, tomorrow's economy, because it just rings so true. And Kati, could I also hear how obviously steering, you're used to steering large airlines, now one of the largest financial institutions out there. How are you going to work on improving OP's environmental milestones for years to come?
Yes, you did ask about especially the environmental ones. I think there we are quite on track already, and then of course using the vast amount of data that we have also from our different fields of expertise. But then again, we also are very keen on working on the social sustainability side, and there I think we have more to do in the future as well. And then of course we have to prepare ourselves for unexpected crises like Corona now, that actually brought up many social issues and problems that we also as a bank have to tackle. So we do monitor the world around us constantly. One of the frameworks that I like to use is the SDGs, and how can we contribute more and more to the sustainable development goals. And there I think we are not nearly ready. I think we all can learn more and do more. So that's kind of our compass also going forward, and using our ability to tackle the problems or work together with our peers, being then being then customers or corporates or peers. So that's probably the one that we are now trying to reach. And also, as I said, it's been quite easy to find green products on the investing side or corporate customer side, but from the personal banking, there we do have developments that have been now postponed because of the Corona crisis that we still have to fulfill now when the situation gets better.
Interesting, yeah. I'm almost quite happy we didn't bring up COVID until the very end. But it's interesting you say how Corona has impacted some green efforts. But what I seem to be hearing is that it's also awoken a lot of customer support for green issues. They realized that actually this earth does need taking care of. So thank you for bringing it to light there, Kati. And I think that's all we have time for before we jump into another episode. I'd love to have you both back on where we could talk about the implications of COVID and eco. So I'd love to speak to you again. I hope you've both had a lovely time on the chat. Thank you also for watching. You can catch the rest of the series and much more over at www.fintechf.com, and of course YouTube and LinkedIn, where I'll see you there. And have a great weekend. Ciao.